Hello everybody. So today I wanted to expand on my video that I uploaded yesterday about Bhakti Yoga because I realized as much as I talked about how it can help with depression and everything, I didn't really go into the full details of what it is, where it stems, how to practice Bhakti Yoga in like numerous ways. So this video is going to be specifically just on Bhakti Yoga in general. So for those of you who didn't watch my last video, Bhakti Yoga literally means devotional service, and it comes from it stems and originates from the Krishna Consciousness Foundation, who was pretty much founded by Swami Swami Prabhupada, and the whole basis of Krishna consciousness, which I honestly think I need to make a whole video on Christ and Krishna consciousness, but the basis of Krishna consciousness is about bhakti, so devotional service, and so that's the simplest terms of what bhakti is. And first and foremost, I just want to tell you guys, if you are truly interested about learning more in depth about Bhakti Yoga, I would highly suggest that you get this book. It's called Bhakti, the Art of Eternal Love, and here it is. On the back here, it says it's $2.95, but honestly, if you go on eBay, I bet you it's gonna be like 50 cents. It's a little book. Or what would even be better is if you try to look up a Hare Krishna temple near you, and they will have this book, and they will most likely give it to you for free or for a donation of whatever you think. So I highly recommend that if you're interested in learning more about Bhakti Yoga, get this beautiful little easy to read book. And I guess I just wanted to start with reading a little section in here. So this kind of ties into my last video of how Bhakti Yoga helps you get out of depression, because it gets you out of your mind and it gets you out of thinking solely of just you. So you devote yourself to someone other than yourself. And it says, everyone must do some kind of work, but if you work only for yourself, you must accept the karmic reactions of that work. So in the present moment, that could even be a depressed or anxious state or a stagnant mind frame. As Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, work done as sacrifice for Vishnu, so Krishna, has to be performed. Otherwise, work binds one to the material world. So I just thought that was really, really simple and beautiful. And I think there's another one that I would love to read to you guys, but I might not be able to find it. Okay, well, I don't think I can find it, but... Oh, no, here it is. Okay, so I'll go into it afterwards. But, so, in my last video, I didn't really recognize the true definition of bhakti. So in Krishna consciousness, it's pretty much for them, because they are devotees, most of them are devotees unto Krishna. So for a lot of people who practice Bhakti Yoga specifically, it's to Lord Vishnu or Krishna, but it's whatever deity that you praise or see as God is a deity to devote yourself unto. But I also want to say that Bhakti Yoga isn't just for people who believe in a god or anything like that. It can be a very inter- or intrapersonal type of relationship. And not only that, so what I mean by that, first of all, is that it can be a relationship unto yourself that my friend's dog is right here, that you see God in manifest. You see God in a materialized form. So whether it's Jesus Christ, Krishna, if it's Buddha, I could go on and on and on. It doesn't matter. Or if you see God as Atman, or as just the spirit of the universe around you. So there's a terminology for that, And these are the two books I said in my other video too, but this one's called Spiritual Yoga, and it's also by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, so similar things, but it talks about that exactly, how our divine essence, our purpose for this life is to go back home. And so that's very much related to bhakti, because bhakti is the path towards going back home to Godhead. But he talks about there's two types of Mahatmas. So that means a Mahatma is like a devotee of some sort, but there's two types. So it's one who is an impersonalist and then the devotee. So the impersonalist, one who seeks in the impersonal Brahman, and the other seeks in the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the impersonalist Brahman is the universe around you, non-specific. So it's your neighbor, it's the simple things that remind you of God, of self. And then the devotee, on the other hand, or the deity worshipper, is one who sees God in a manifested form. So what I wanted to get with that whole thing is that it doesn't matter which form of bhakti you choose to, what type of yoga you choose to apply. So it can be for the devotee or the deity worshipper, your bhakti could be setting up puja, so an altar, and having your God or whoever you worship in front of you. Another form is kirtan, so chanting to the divine or the Maha Mantra, so to Rama and Krishna. Or it could be, there's so many things. A huge one in here, they talk about, so a huge bhakti in this book is prasad, so preparing and eating spiritual food that is in devotion to Vishnu or Krishna or whatever God you praise. So the very first line is saying eating prasad is a fundamental practice of Bhakti Yoga. So it is a supreme form, because in most of these practices you renunciate sense gratification, but in Bhakti Yoga, food is, because you're devoting this food and preparing it for a God, Krishna, before you, you're allowed to relish and to devour yourself in this type of sense pleasure because it's in devotion to Krishna. So I'll just read it. I don't know what it's going to say because I forget. But it says, in other forms of yoga, one must artfully repress the senses, but in the Bhakti Yoga, you can engage in his or her senses in a variety of pleasures, in a variety of pleasing spiritual activities I cannot read right now, such as tasting delicious food offered to Lord Krishna. In this way, the senses gradually become spiritualized and brings the devotee more and more into a transcendental pleasure by being engaged in a devotional service, so eating prasad, so spiritualized food. Such spiritual pleasure far surpasses any material experience. And then I know I'm gonna keep reading and you guys want to hear me talk and not just the book, but it's just so prevalent that I have to. That ties into this section that says what we were just talking about, an impersonalist devotee, or just a devotee that is devoting themselves to a deity. So a pure devotee wants nothing but bhakti. So in Krishna consciousness, that is all a devotee wants, is just to give and surrender themselves to Krishna. So this section, so sorry, I'm so excited about this. This section says, actually, a pure devotee does not aspire after any of these perfections because the happiness derived from devotional service in Krishna consciousness is so transcendental and so unlimited that no other happiness can compare to it. It is said that even one drop of happiness in Krishna consciousness, so in Bhakti Yoga, stands beyond comparison with with an ocean of happiness derived from any other activity, mainly in the material world. Thus, any person who has developed even a little quantity of pure devotional service can very easily kick out all the other kinds of happiness derived from religiousness, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. And I love how it says only in pure devotional service. I didn't emphasize that enough. The fact that in pure devotion of non-egotistical gratification, and a selfless kind of service, you don't try to expect anything. You're not doing it for anything other than love. Pure devotion and pure unconditional love. You are serving because of love and love only. Okay, and then another thing, so we talked about, I'm like jumping back and forth, so I apologize. Another thing that we talked about is how a devotee who recognizes deities would practice Bhakti Yoga. But now we can talk about how an impersonalist devotee would practice Bhakti. And I kind of referenced this in my other video, but we'll do it again. So the impersonalist person can practice Bhakti by simple human things, by bringing food to your neighbor, by paying for groceries for a stranger at the store, by, there's so many things, I'm just trying to think. Any type of community service, by helping your neighbors, your family, your friends. There's a plethora of things that you could do, but I just wanted to share that you can turn anything you do into Bhakti Yoga if you turn your mind, first of all, turn your mind off to your needs all the time, and then you tune into the fact that everything around you, everything that surrounds you is God. And so Bhakti Yoga is the most like divine and almost romantic act you can do, because through Bhakti, everything is in devotional service to God, to other. So that also, it's gonna get too far into it, but that also reminds me of the relationship between Krishna and Radha. It's just seeing the divine in another so much so that you forget yourself and see Christ, Krishna. You see every single spiritual molecule, I guess you could say, through other. And so that is the whole principle of why we are alive. That is the principle of why we choose to come as humans in human bodies, is to have a dualistic experience, to experience God outside of ourselves, so that in turn we can experience God within and go back into unity and come back home to the Godhead. But I feel like, okay, so I tried to cover most of... Oh, another thing that I don't know if I brought up was you can practice Bhakti by chanting certain, it doesn't even matter if it's Sanskrit or the Maha Mantra or any type of chant. It could be just normal human words of saying like, I silken love blah blah and give myself unto spirit, and whatever it may be. Or it could be something like Om Namah Shivaya. So it doesn't really matter. And I really want to emphasize that. And I think I did kind of, but Bhakti Yoga is just about pure devotional service, pure love. So whatever mode or vehicle you take to get to that place, it doesn't matter. If your intention in your heart is centered on other in the purest and the most selfless of ways, you are there. You are in a place of already pure devotional love. So I believe I hopefully covered everything that I wanted to, but I most likely forgot some things. But that's the basis of Bhakti Yoga, and I understand that when I explain things, it's not super, doesn't have a super high context and like definition basis of what things are, but it's more of a personal explanation to me. And I also wanted to, one last thing is that with Bhakti Yoga I'd say it's one of the best yogas for everyone, because you don't have to memorize like the Bhagavad Gita or spiritual texts. You don't have to be an intellectual or whatever it may be. You just have to live in your heart space and take action and to surrender yourself. And I know that sometimes that might be difficult, but it's also, I feel like, the most accessible way for most humans to practice any form of yoga. It's not strenuous physically, emotionally, through your mind. It's just an inherent thing that all humans were born with. And that ties into, I'm going off again, but one last thought, that ties into the relationship of a child and their parents when they're born. So Bhakti is immediately present in all life forms. When we are born, we devote ourselves fully in our parents to us, fully to our relationship between parent and child. We see them as gods. We fully depend on them, so much so that sometimes we don't even, I'd say in the parent relationship, we don't even think about ourselves in order to devote and fulfill and to serve your child. So Bhakti Yoga is the way. So Hare Krishna, everybody. But yes, it's inherent from the beginning of time, of your very birth. The very first breath of life is Bhakti Yoga. So I hope this helped you all, and I hope this clarified my last video, and I'll put a link if you haven't seen that one either, because that one goes more into how it can help with mental states. But I hope this helped again, and I appreciate and care for you all so very much and love all of your support. And I pray that you are all finding what you need to find in order to progress in whatever way you desire. Om Shanti.